Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Fallen London. We are going to be carrying on with the Crocodile Who Would Be King exceptional story. In the last episode we managed to get some honey. Today we're going to be looking for a mirror and the sarcophagus, and then maybe find out what this magic trick is all about. Oh look, we could inquire about the Yoke in Yearning. Very strange name. How are the serpent and the crocodile truly related? What a question, says a sequined illusionist, staring into the water. You might as well ask how you're related to yourself. That's just the problem. Behind the glass, it's not unknown for kings to claim retainers on this side. You must have met a few in Nassau's zoologicals, but our crocodile isn't a retainer. I can see it so clearly, even if the other kings refuse to acknowledge the truth. They're simply afraid to lose their grip. Lose their grip on what? On what is and what is not, and on their own identities. Ooh. Well, let's step away from this conversation, and I need to get my map out here. We'll return to the tunnels. I think we'll go to Jackal Garden next, because that seemed like the most interesting one to me. So, if I look at my little map that I did last time, I need to take the upper tunnel, hop across the canal. Then, to get to Jackal Gardens, we go to the cellar. Then we never went down the shaft. I've got no idea where that shaft goes. But that means that it's, interprets some graffiti. And from there, we, explore the service tunnel. And there we are, locating a discreet address. Jackal Gardens is an exclusive neighborhood. These tunnels are also exclusive. How many services must have been rendered down here in the dark for the residents living above? What could the boxes and barrels abandoned in dusty corners testify if they were brought to court? Perhaps not a great deal, unless they're imports from Polythreme, in which case they could talk. Quite a few boxes and barrels are stacked around a locked door, which opens into the doting antiquarian's cellar. You recognize their shipping labels. Egyptian. When smuggled goods are delivered, this is where they're sometimes dropped. You pick the lock and creep through. Museums could furnish new exhibits for years with the spoils from this cellar. They could also spend years trying to sort the actual artifacts from the bric-a-brac. The doting antiquarian is obviously indiscriminate. Indeed, his lack of discrimination has led him to purchase such treasures as this imitation ankh, as well as these canopic sweetie jars. That might explain why he's down here himself, attempting to write a catalogue. Oh dear. Aha! There you are! I thought I heard footsteps that weren't my own. I knew somebody would visit, says the doting antiquarian, bubbling with excitement. People always seek help when such headlines are in the Gazette. Giant reptile and etc. Crocodile. If my hunch is correct, although they called it an alligator, you'll be looking for a sarcophagus. My hunch is correct, isn't it? He digs into a crate, tossing golden scarabs over one shoulder. Nothing useful here. I knew that, but my buy it now, evaluate it later approach would eventually come back to haunt me. Why don't you try and grab a pry bar and start opening boxes? Okay. This sounds like it could be fun. Should we consult with him straight away? What is this? Well, it's not really a sarcophagus, but it is from the 18th dynasty, says the doting antiquarian. He takes the relic, gingerly places some spectacles on his nose, and squints at the glyphs. Yes, the gate of the hostage, the gate of the lost, and etc. I've been studying these rituals associated with the period. You've just jogged my memory. He rushes to a closet, flings it open and unleashes a cascade. Papyrus rolls and mummified cats, and a few cats that aren't mummified, which yowl and scramble away. Sitting in the debris, the antiquarian shrugs. "Wrong closet," he says. Well, let's try and sort some of these artifacts. Someone needs to put things in order around here. Upon closer inspection, some of these relics aren't even Egyptian, but they're almost all awkward to move. You struggle not to inhale dust as you shift the bulky objects. "They're beautiful, aren't they?" beams the doting antiquarian. "Whenever I visit an antique shop, I simply must make a purchase. And whenever I visit the Medusa's head before a smuggling bust, and Concord Square after a smuggling bust, I wonder how much evidence I've brought." Wow. Alright, let's attempt to study some of these hieroglyphs. Can you make out anything legible? You even know this language? It is difficult to piece a sequence together, probably because pieces are physically missing. But this looks like a heart, unless it's an omelette. This looks like a feather on a dinner plate. There's also something that resembles a crocodile. Although the stone has been chipped, only the animal's head is preserved. From what you know about the second city, however, you can estimate that these glyphs at least originated from an earlier period in the city's history. They might even predate the city itself. I'm running out of things to do here. How do we... Well, look, there's an incantation of the obscure. Let's see if we can consult with him again. "Fascinating," he says. "I have no clue what this is." He spends half an hour with a little dictionary, comparing hieroglyphs. Finally, he sits back with a smile, snaps the dictionary shut, and proclaims, "Still not a clue. That's the problem when you're a specialist. I'm very familiar with Egyptian rites to open the glass. They needed to create a hybrid, you see, with 1 foot in this world and 1 foot decidedly not. But if you want my opinion on anything outside my expertise, I'm about as helpful as this dictionary." He sends it sailing across the room. Well, let's try and sort the artifacts again. And let's talk to him again. I feel like this is... We are making it. I know we are. "Is that what I think it is?" asks the doting antiquarian, examining the relic. No, it's not. But it looks very similar. In fact," he continues, rummaging through the cellar. "I believe it ought to be. Yes, over here." He shoves a coffin aside, which slams into another. Another. They topple like dominoes, dust billowing until enough space has been cleared. Behind the toppled coffins, you see a gargantuan crate, stamped with shipping labels from at least 20 countries. "Well, what are you waiting for? Help me open this box." "Okay." "I can't do it on my own," says the doting antiquarian. "Bad back, you know." "Rather an odd acquisition," says the antiquarian, watching as you dismantle the crate. "Won it from a gambler, who bought it from a smuggler, who stole it from a duchess. And don't ask where she got it from. The period is 18th dynasty. Not a true sarcophagus, mind you." The sarcophagus is monumental, chiseled from solid stone. Do you see the glyphs? The egg submerged, the hatching sun. Many sarcophagi like this were made, not to bury people, but to bury daylight itself. Wait, so you're telling me that this is a mirror catch box? In the shape of a sarcophagus? Okay, let's arrange transport for the sarcophagus. "I don't know how you're going to move this," says the doting antiquarian. "You'll need it for the ceremony, won't you? That's why the crocodile came to Mahogany Hall." Yes, I know everything," says the doting antiquarian, patting your knee. "The Gazette is filled with hogwash, but sometimes when you read between the lines, it's quite informative, albeit usually by accident." Oh no. Early Second City, commissioned by the High Priest of Defaced. Notice the hieroglyphs in which the egg is placed into the golden pool and the spirit enters the egg. How much does this bloody thing weigh? It would probably be easier to push around a carriage without wheels, especially since carriages don't normally need to pass through the sewer. So right now we have an impossible chance of getting this out of here, so we can employ some strong back labour. That's an expensive choice, I don't really want to do that. We can hire the services of a clay porter. 250 pennies? I mean, that seems not too bad. Right over there would be lovely. The clay porter initially attempts to lift the sarcophagus like a suitcase. When this doesn't work, the clay porter attempts to lift it like a heavier suitcase by using 2 hands. And indeed, it leaves the ground, but after being carried a few feet, it drops again. Everything in the cellar rattles. I might need to roll up my sleeves for this one. We can apply our own strength as well. Let's try that. Why rely on others when you have perfectly good joints to sprain? Someone moved this sarcophagus in here, which means someone can move it out. You just have to keep trying different techniques. Install a few clamps, secure a few tight knots, wipe the sweat from your eyes and ignore your screaming muscles. Has it bunched in a single inch? No, not simply 1, but 2. Ooh. Because this intrigues me, I think I'm gonna invite a few specimens to help as well. They seemed willing to cooperate before. These are those monkeys, I believe. From the tunnels, they emerge. They have been waiting, watching, following. You recognize the apes, but there are others too. Rats with intelligent eyes, which are not Rattus faber. One bear, still collared from its tenure at a circus, with the same gaze. Goats and lizards, and even a preening macaw. Did they also escape from Nassau zoologicals? Were they released? Or have they come from somewhere else? They share the same purpose now. They struggle together to move the sarcophagus. Let's just drop a bit more money. 90% chance? Shall we just go for it? Can it fit around that corner? How many bones are you going to break? Surely, since you've expended enough effort, some clever method to move the sarcophagus will now present itself. A mechanism will spring into action, revealing that the ancient Egyptians had already installed secretive wheels. Or you'll bump into something in the cellar, an innocuous vase, which opens a hidden route directly to your destination. Not so. What actually happens is more physical labour. Ropes and harnesses break, grease is applied, liberally. Muscles are pulled, curses spat, years added to your age in a day. When the monstrosity is finally delivered, and you collapse, exhausted, the sequined illusionist can only say, "Wow." But that wow is followed by applause. Here we got a personal recommendation. Wonderful. So, now we have the sarcophagus, the honey. We need the mirror. Now, in order to get the mirror, we need to go into, I believe, Mahogany Hall. We're going to have to go and steal it from there itself. So let's go to the map again. Let's return to the sewers. Now, I believe this one, I remember this because we have to go down the littered tunnel, I believe. So if I take the upper tunnel, yes, enter the littered tunnel, and then there we go, sneak into an echoing corridor. You can, in fact, hear applause. You're right under Mahogany Hall. They must be performing a show. Music carries from above, intermingled with cheers and laughter. You follow the sounds until you've clambered into an old boiler room. There's a stairway, and then a dumbwaiter, and then another stairway. You're surrounded by props and costumes. Stagehands bustle past, too busy to care about anyone else. You search for the dressing room with Monsieur Pleat emblazoned in gilt letters on the door. Then, you're inside. Why do I feel this isn't going to be as easy as we think it's going to be? You've been told to find a black mirror that's covered with a veil. Apparently, you can't miss it. And you can't miss the second black mirror with a veil. Or the third, the fourth, the fifth. Monsieur Pleat's dressing room is exclusively hung with black mirrors with veils. What on earth is this man doing in here when he powders his nose before a performance? Okay, so we can examine the mirror on the wall. Perhaps you'll find a clue that distinguishes this one from the last. We can examine the mirror on the opposite wall. Is this mirror shaped differently than the others in the room? Or we can examine the mirror above the dressing table. With such placement, Monsieur Pleat might look into this one more often. Let's just start at the top here. The one on the wall. Is this the mirror you want? What would give you a hint? The glint in the glass that attracts your curiosity. It flickers in accordance with the candlelight, forking when the flames fork on their wicks, withdrawing into a darkness that yawns deeper as you stare deeper. You tear your vision away. Softly, the veil falls back into place. Well, that was promising. Unless it wasn't. Do the other mirrors also look like this? Weren't we told not to look into these mirrors? Okay, let's examine the mirror on the opposite wall. Gradually, you lift the veil and look into your reflection. You see yourself looking back. You look closer, leaning forward, and glimpse someone behind you in the glass. The person behind you clears their throat. Monsieur Pleat is standing in the room. His hand is still on the doorknob. Well, he says, where are my gloves? I can't perform without my gloves. Didn't they tell you that? I swear, you lose one assistant and everything falls to pieces. He squints with inconvenient scrutiny. You are the replacement, aren't you? Then do your job. Oh no. I need to get a pair of magician's gloves? Okay, hang on. I gotta go to the shop. Can I go to the bazaar from here? Oh, thank God. Okay, so yeah, I need a pair of magician's gloves. And we can get them from Dark and Savage. 3 echoes. This man better reimburse me. That's all I'm saying. Provide gloves for Monsieur Pleat. He is crossing his arms and tapping one foot impatiently. That's better, says Monsieur Pleat, snatching the gloves. They fit poorly, but he pulls them on. My fingers need protection. They're worth 5,000 echoes each, if you weren't aware. Which you should be if management has told you anything, which they clearly haven't. He gazes into a mirror, practicing a smile for the stage. My other assistant would never have been so neglectful, but you'll learn. You'll have to learn, or our gooses will both be cooked. Satisfied with the smile, he lets it drop like a guillotine's blade, and then storms, scowling back into the hall. Now, I'm fully aware that Monsieur Pleat is supposed to have a French accent. It's kind of implied, being that he is Monsieur Pleat. I can't do a French accent, so he's going to sound like a posh English guy. I apologise. Right, but let's carry on by examining the mirror in the corner. Something about it draws your gaze like a hooked fish. Subtleties play in the glass. Your reflection, tinted black, wriggles. Every line and contour, every shadow, every shape bends your perception until what seems normal is quite flexible. Normally, you may not look like this. Normally, mirrors may show your face, but normally you're not in a magician's dressing room peering into an abyss that is a flat surface. You blink, and there is no abyss. That's probably for the best. Wait, but I'm back here again. Ooh, examine the mirror near the door. Monsieur Pleat just looked into this mirror himself a moment ago. You search the frame. You scrutinize the glass for any chips, cracks, imperfections that might mark it out. An unseen breeze lazily lifts the veil, diaphanous, and then wafts it back against the mirror. When Monsieur Pleat throws open the door. My hat! He cries. How could you have forgotten my hat? Look at this! He points to his bald head, which gleams impressively. Reflective, isn't it? And we can't have that on stage. You should know what happens with too many reflections. But wait just a moment, he says, squinting at you again. Do I recognize you from somewhere? Oh, you want me to go buy him a hat? I need to go get a hat. What do you need? A gentleman's hat? From the Hattery. Okay, we're off to the Hattery. A gentleman's hat. 12 echoes! Oh my! This man is rinsing me dry, good lord. Let's provide a hat for Monsieur Pleat. He is grumbling and keeps checking his pocket watch. Look, here's your damn hat. Excellent, says Monsieur Pleat, popping the hat onto his head. Forgive my temper, it's been a bad week. First, there was my assistant, then my patrons keep making demands. We'll catch up later. I'll pay for the drinks. I swear I've seen you somewhere. Before he leaves the room, he pauses, looks at one veiled mirror, and adjusts its position by an inch. Another mirror, reflecting the first, suddenly isn't black. Neither is the third reflecting the second, or the fourth reflecting the third. They change around the room, reflections slipping from black to silver, reflected veils disappearing. Much better, says Monsieur Pleat, and he's gone back into the hall. Oh, goddammit, really? Well, we can acquire the Black Mirror. It was always this one, because this was always the only one. It's not a full-length looking glass, but it approaches that dimension, which makes it rather difficult to smuggle downstairs into the sewer. Both sides are reflective. Your own face is mere inches away, with a frame in your arms, from your mirrored double. You only notice, slowly, that your mirrored double's not holding the frame. Its arms are bent somewhere else. It has more arms than you do, and more fingers. Each finger is sparkling with rings, golden bands and crimson gems obscuring any flesh. No, that isn't right. The rings themselves are flesh. Ooh. No thank you. Your reflection beckons. Its face is so close to your own, but it isn't your face. Its forked tongue flickers, whispers in your ear. You can't hear the words. The veil, flimsy and transparent, is still a barrier. It's such an insubstantial barrier. You could stare straight through it. And you want to stare through it, don't you? Mirrored fingers extend to caress the glass. I'm going to shut my eyes. It's a 10% chance of success, but it's a matter of luck. It's a long shot, but you might win. We were told not to stare into it. Let's see. Cross those fingers. Damn it. Don't let them molt. Don't permit them to pass. Do you understand what we're saying? This is an order. Do not oppose us, and we'll reward you with treasures. Treasures, treasures, beyond every mortal measure. Your reflection spreads its palm, and you see glittering, heaped, and golden. Yes, that's exquisitely, precisely right. But disobey us, and your reflection slams its hand against the barrier. It's not a hand. Serpents, hundreds, thousands, smash against the glass. And wide-eyed, you let the mirror slip. You looked, didn't you? Asks the sequined illusionist when you return, with the shards bundled into the veil like pebbles in a sack. It's hard to resist. I know. Oh no, we shattered the mirror. Oh, I bet that's going to make it difficult. Okay, well, let's inquire about the mirror. Is it still serviceable in this condition? This condition being many small pieces. Yes, well, says the sequined illusionist, jingling the shards inside the bundled veil. I expected something like this to happen. You heard the demands for yourself, I presume. They told Monsieur Pleat the same thing, and they told me. On the other side, they make the rules, but they want to come to this side. Perhaps you can imagine why, if someone were to migrate in the opposite direction, that might undermine their cause, especially if the someone is a certain sort of reptile. They really don't want us to perform the trick. But the show must go on. Let's inquire about the honey. Years ago, there were rumours. Revolutionary interference put a stop to those rumours. Someone didn't like what Mr. Mirrors was doing. But what was Mr. Mirrors doing? The sequined illusionist pauses to consider it. I haven't the foggiest clue, but I can pretend that I know. Isn't that just as good? After all, what can the masters of the mirrors desire, except what others desire? Balance, perhaps, between reality and reflection. If the balance is off, from which side does one add or subtract the weight? What is the weight? And probably more than honey. Oh well, let's inquire about the sarcophagus. This sarcophagus isn't a mirror catch box, but you might say there's a family resemblance, the sequined illusionist explains. It doesn't have mirrors now, obviously. Those were probably removed when the glyphs were defaced. Still, the closer we can get to recreating the original conditions for the ritual, the more likely we are to succeed. Well, let's perform the molting of Pleat's Eidolon. Set the stage, prepare the props, and wait for the crocodile to arrive. I may be occupied for some time. I hope you don't suffer from stage fright, says the sequined illusionist. Whenever that happens to me, I just remember Monsieur Pleat's advice. Imagine that nobody in the audience is wearing any skin. You knew we would have an audience, right? Eyes observe you from the chamber's sides. They are the same eyes you saw through the bars at Nassau's zoologicals. Those eyes, and hundreds like them, they belong to apes, weasels, lizards, and many more animals, hunched in the shadows, still dripping with sewage from the tunnels. Magic needs an audience. Without an audience, it isn't real. Your audience never looks away. They do not even blink. Out there, in the darkness, they are watching every movement, every muscle at every moment. They do not clap during the show, as some spectators would when they can't wait for the curtain. Instead, they reserve their applause, and whether anyone applauds or not after the illusion is finished might stand to express more than simply if they like the trick. So let's prepare the sarcophagus. Let me lift the lid, will you? Says the sequined illusionist. Behold, the very box in which the victim, volunteer, shall be interred. Was it not in such a box that centuries ago the pharaohs themselves sought to bury sunlight? You'll be burying something more solid today. Hopefully, not my career, mutters the sequined illusionist. Outside the sarcophagus, there still isn't any reaction, but the illusionist is filling it with water. It starts to ripple. Reflected, those sequins shimmer brightly. Each one is a scarab. The feather boa around the illusionist's neck is more than a feather boa. Okay, let's prepare the honey. We'll need to lay this on thick, says the sequined illusionist. Who has not tasted honey? Who has not imbibed a dream? Drizzle it, golden, gilded, until the sarcophagus brims with fantasies yet to be born. Look closely, but don't touch, says the illusionist. When you're drowned in honey, buried with sunlight, you're not yourself. You're a door. Imagine bathing an infant. Imagine soaking an egg. Imagine what might hatch. No need to imagine. It's here. 2 more eyes have joined the audience. They rise from the sewer water, followed by a monstrous head. The crocodile climbs onto dry land. It looks even bigger on dry land. Okay, let's prepare the mirror. Now to deal with these broken pieces, says the sequined illusionist. Stars rain down, stars that are glass, as the sequined illusionist shakes them onto the ground. I couldn't just tell you to bring me the veil. If you had tried to take it, you might have come back with nothing. The veil doesn't strictly exist, so I told you to bring the mirror. But the veil is what matters. It billows in the breeze that nobody can feel, and the sequined illusionist binds it around the cooperative crocodile. Meanwhile, something hisses, and the reflective water in the sewer undulates. Ignore the peanut gallery. So now we have our choice. We can complete the magic trick. Would you assist our reptilian volunteer into the box as a sequined illusionist, or we can sabotage the magic trick. After the crocodile is inside, slam the sarcophagus shut and capture it. No, we're going to complete the magic trick because I want to know where this is going. Your volunteer spills its bulk into the box. Honeyed waves slosh out over the edge, its muscular tail disappearing with a final flick. There's hissing in your ear. There's hissing everywhere. And then, suddenly, the hissing stops. The water in the chamber around you is so calm, so flat, that it looks like a solid glass sheet. There's something on the other side, an enormous knot writhing. But now the water doesn't look like glass. It looks like emptiness. The writhing mass is not behind a barrier. It rises, fingers, thousands stretching over the sarcophagus. Uh-oh, the sequined illusionist says. I think something's gone horribly wrong. Encircled by fingerwork. Don't resist. Sink down. Tell yourself this is only a dream. Tell yourself these are only fingers. They're wrapping around everything. If they're attached to hands, they're not clapping. Why, indeed, would they applaud this performance? Applause would express approval, and they don't approve. They won't approve. One serpent rises from the knot, contorting to gaze into your eyes. Its voice is venom seeping through your mind. Listen to the serpent, you cannot hear anything else. When these serpents speak, they do not speak with words. They speak with a shock up your spine, with a cry strangled in your throat, with bile and blood on your tongue. The panic that you taste is theirs. They won't allow this royal usurper to claim a crown. Nothing from the waking world shall reign in their domain. Can't you see what it might mean for their own sovereignty? They'd rather tear it apart. Fingers grip your perception, and then rip. We are now raving mad. Our nightmares are at 11, but we've moved to the mirror marshes. It's not quite what I expected, I'll be honest. Let's go to the sunken pool. Towering trees encircle a lonely hollow. They resemble birches, long and thin, with banded bark. Down in the hollow, rectangular holes have been dug in the ground. Moss has grown around the holes. Some are filled with roots. One is filled with water, like a puddle that remains after a midday storm has passed. Let's look in the water. Something's moving under the surface. Did you come through this hole yourself? Why is it so hard to remember? Looking down is just like looking up. If you were lying inside a sarcophagus and staring through the open lid, there's something tangled at the pool's bottom, like an animal caught in a cloth. Reflections on the water from the trees surrounding the hollow extend toward the bundle like fingers. What happens next is what might happen if someone gripped an egg and squeezed. If the egg were filled with blood and bones, entrails and organs ready to dribble from the clenching fist. When the fingers withdraw, they draw the gore along with them. It stretches away like long shadows cast by the trees, sliding into the jungle as shadows would slide when the sun sinks in the afternoon. Nothing is left but a liver which floats in the pool. Abracadabra. We can examine the floating liver. It looks like a healthy liver, except for the bit about being separated from the body. We were so close, sputters the liver. Now look at this mess. It bobs disconsolately in the water. Why won't they accept me? They pulled me apart. I must be scattered everywhere. I know that you've already done so much, but please, can you help me again? If this liver had eyes that could weep, and a handkerchief to dab the teardrops, it would be sobbing uncontrollably. I feel so ashamed. A king shouldn't have to grovel, but now I have absolutely nobody else. Not even myself. Could you put me back together? Okay, I gotta go find bits, I guess. Let's consult with the liver again. How am I supposed to find the disassembled body parts? It's just like needlework, says the liver. Pull the right thread and something comes out. In my case, my organs came out. They're somewhere in the jungle. Okay, so I gotta hunt through my opportunity deck in the Mirror Marshes. New branches have been added to the traditional cards in this area. Some branches will lead you to different missing organs, but other branches might be less helpful. You will have to play them to discover which branches the organs are hidden inside. After you've found 3 sets corresponding to the qualities Incantation to Reflect, Incantation to Awaken, and Incantation to Obscure, you can gather the organs at the pool again. I just pull some cards. It's a snatch of music. Let's see where this goes. The forest is full of birdsong. Some is harsh and discordant. Some is intricate and melodic. But the snatch of music you just heard was something different. Composed, orchestrated, human. Let's listen to the music, because that is the one that has the crocodile on it. The closer you listen, the less it sounds like music. It doesn't sound like an instrument. It sounds like distant rumbling. Now it's closer. Now it's much closer. I'm hungry, rumbles the stomach. Hungry for sunlight. Where is it? I know that it's here. They put another one here when I was little. I looked out and saw the river. I wanted to bask on the bank, but they wouldn't let me. They kept me inside. They said the sun would kill me, but I would give anything, even if the light is only Cosmogon. Other organs trembling beside stomach flop awkwardly to console it. Okay, so we found the stomach. Maybe I can do this. Let's go to Tree of Scars. Climb to the topmost branch. You climb above the jungle canopy. Below your perch, the tree sways like a cobra in a snake charmer's basket. You can see hills and valleys, rivers and distant mountains, but no landmark that would help. The sunlight is bright and incredibly hot. There are no clouds. A bird circles overhead. You got a glass gazette. I don't know if that helps me or not. Wasn't what I was looking for. How about a green vine? A muddy dip in the ground. To get past it without slipping, you would need to hold on to that vine. Let's study the vine. Something long and wet droops down. It settles around your shoulders. I remember this place. The intestines tell you. Before I crept into the egg, I was here. This is home, but the other kings don't understand. How could they? And the pharaoh's daughters didn't care for me. After I opened the glass, I was lucky to get scraps under the table. I have lived here, under the table, ever since, caged by one master or another. Why would I want to awaken again? I'm finally awake now. Wait, is that all the bits I need? Ah, no, I'm missing an incantation to reflect. Go with the heavenly fruits. As you wander the Mirror Marshes, branches laden with fruit occasionally sway into your path. Fruit! Real fruit! Golden peaches, indigo berries, ruby grapes. The forest seems to be offering it to you. Let's pluck a moist fruit. These don't look especially botanical. They spill from the branch like organs from a corpse's ripped belly. It is possible they might actually be organs. Luckily, you didn't try to eat this. It's not an organ, but it would make the most rotten tomato look fresh. Does the jungle normally produce such unappetizing fruit? Branches dangle in your path, as though begging you to pluck more. If you threw these at a performer on the stage, it would certainly send a message. Not the fruit, then. Not the fruit. Ah, but how about orange lilies? You come across a profusion of lilies, a forest within a forest. The hot orange blooms are speckled with red, dark pollen. The scent is overwhelming. Let's search through the lilies. Found the lungs, here we go. Delicious! Exclaims one lung. The second replies, delectable. They are huddled beneath the blooms, describing the air quality to assorted bones and organs, which twitch and pleasure at their report. I feel so alive, say the lungs. I don't care if this is a dream. I don't care if these lilies might not exist. Exist according to what authority? Let the other kings call me a traitor. I don't care if I threaten their precious reality. Reality! What a concept! Why would I care about anything real when I already have this? Well, back to the sunken pool. Let's gather the organs. This magic trick still isn't finished. Into the pool they plop, one after another. There are far too many and too few. Not enough bones for a crocodile, but surplus bones for a snake. The water churns with pinkish foam. At Mahogany Hall, whenever this trick is finished, stunned silence always follows. The audience stares, uncertain about what their own eyes supposedly see. You can't be certain yourself. You know that it is a radiant and red, that every scale is tender, translucent, that even though it's slithering out from the pit, spreading across the jungle floor, there's still even more to emerge. It sprawls to the shore, freshly steaming, to bask in the sun. Branches bend in a breeze that hisses. Soon they drop to the ground, land with fleshy thuds. There's movement in the underbrush as serpents plumed with rainbow quills lift their heads to examine the transformation. They too seem uncertain about what they've witnessed. Apparently this outcome isn't what they expected. It is at moments like these that someone with initiative reacting to a performance can tip the scales to influence an audience, and perhaps even the public at large. So we can applaud the magic trick if you approve the yoke in splendor, the servants might also approve, or we can boo and throw rotten fruit towards the pool. Express disappointment, sow discontent among these reptilian sovereigns. Let's applaud the trick. Bravo, missio. Slowly, something rises through the trees. It's a rattling noise. It begins quietly, but it grows. Some serpents resemble rattlesnakes. Others have tiny bells on their tails. Still others, twinkling chimes. They shake until the jungle quakes with their own musical applause. You have to cover your ears. The tintibulation only becomes more intense as something else rises with it, something dripping with gold and honey, blazing with rays that are feathers greater than any earthly reptile. Its head looms far above your own. I am myself, says the yoke in splendor, just as I always have been. Now I can come and go as I please. Nothing can stop me. Except, perhaps, reality. But I've had enough reality. Whatever your feelings, I owe you my thanks. Whatever has happened, I set it aside. On this day, I have shed the waking world, but this day is the same as all the other days. Everything has always been a dream, and it always will be. We can bid him farewell. It is already slipping away through the sun-drenched jungle. Or we can attempt to catch it one last time. Even if this is a dream, you might still be able to hold on to something. But no, we're going to bid him farewell. Perhaps we'll meet again, murmurs the yoke in splendor, entranced like a sleep talker. Perhaps we'll never meet in the first place, or perhaps we've always known each other all along. The lines are starting to blur. Soon there won't be any left. Its scales are dappled with light falling through the jungle. Then its scales themselves are dappled light. Finally, that is just dappled light. Another king has returned to the jungle. Sunbeams continue to beat on your back, warm as a human touch. They spread over your shoulders. They encircle you from behind. You're immobilized, constricted by coils with red and yellow bands. Their touch isn't so warm anymore. Did you think you could stage a performance without facing a review from the critics? Uh-oh. Well, let's submit to your review. At least it probably won't be as vicious as the Gazette's theatre columnist. If this review had appeared in the Gazette, it would have driven ticket sales into the false stars on the cavern roof. The true transformation in these critics' opinions occurred not on, but off the stage. And even Monsieur Pleat would marvel that his trick, with only a few minor alterations, could possibly change a serpent's mind. Of course, what the serpents might think in the future is harder to guess, but their coils are no longer constricting you. Bubbles are rising in the pool, as many bubbles as there are interpretations, and you're standing alone with your thoughts. All that remains is for you to take the plunge. Let's pass through the pool's reflection. Bubbles are rising from the depths. It's time to return to London. You sit up with a jolt in the sarcophagus, splashing water everywhere. The sequined illusionist is already at your side, waiting to help you step out. But your limbs won't entirely cooperate. Your eyes are still filled with remembered sunlight. How long were you gone? 10 minutes? Maybe 15? How long do you think? Oh, thank God, my nightmares quality's gone. Otherwise, 11 nightmares would have been painful. Okay, we can speak with the sequined illusionist. Quite a show, wasn't it? You should have seen how it looked from this side. Can you guess what this is? Asks the sequined illusionist, hefting a bloody bundle. More than enough for some boots and belts and portmanteaus. You can keep it. The original owner won't need it again, that's for sure. The bundle is soaking wet and weighs a staggering amount. We had a few hiccups, it's true, but we still pulled off the trick. It felt so real, didn't it? Now the theatre's closing. Time to head back outside to the street, hail a hansom, just like nothing happened. That's the beauty of an illusion. One moment, it's all you can think about, and the next moment, poof. Let's have a word with Mr. Inch. I've run out of actions. This is... But we did it. We got out. Dead or alive indeed, says Mr. Inch. For the animal's sake, I hope that this skin represents the dead option, but I won't ask. I mentioned discretion when we spoke before, and I intend to cultivate a mindful ignorance. My client, however, has expressed the desire to personally reward whoever finishes the job. Nassau Zoologicals tonight, and this time, please use the front door. Okay, deliver the crocodile skin. Nassau Zoologicals is closed for the evening, but you find the entrance unlocked. Wait, so you know I was there? Whoops. In a back room, Mr. Mirrors is gazing upon an enormous portrait. It depicts neither a hippopotamus nor a lion, but an animal much more misunderstood. Can you blame my forgetfulness if I had to deal with every abandoned beast in this city? My schedule would frightfully cluttered. My colleagues might have the time, they might entertain their so-called pets, but I have much more pressing concerns. At the master's command, Neddy men step forward. They gash the canvas, they collapse the hidden passage. Meanwhile, the master is unrolling the crocodile's skin to inspect. Exquisite, says Mr. Mirrors. And when the Neddy men are finished, and they display the empty picture frame framed from the wall, the master chuckles. Receptacles are better this way, aren't they? Whether flesh or frame, we can fill them with whatever we want. Your palm needs filling too. Well done, Hunter. So, we got ourselves 6,250 pieces of rosary gold, good lord. Or rusty gold, sorry, not rosary gold. And 1 memory of a tale. And we did it. We did it. We didn't run out of actions. We got close. This is a long episode. Oh yeah. But I made it out of the sewers. We did it before the end of the month. Perfect. And look, there's the next exceptional story. The House of Silk and Flame. A Princess Calls. Doesn't that sound awesome? We'll be looking at that next month. Thank you very much for watching. That was a very substantial exceptional story, and I think I enjoyed it a lot. There was a lot of separate bits, and it's hard to explain why I enjoyed it, but the sheer fact that I managed to use all of my actions and it went on for so long with so much depth into different little areas, I really enjoyed it. And I hope you enjoyed it too. But thank you very much for watching. Please like and subscribe. Let me know what you think. Your comments are greatly appreciated. And as always, I'll see you next time.